prepared a speech, made an art, and was ready to present it in the assembly. As soon as she went there, she was not allowed to do that. She was refused without any reason. That crushed her hopes. And the place where which passion lived now resided fear. It didn't end there. She went to college, high school. It was an extroverted place with lots of social events. She said, okay, I'm going to do it over here. It would not be wrong to say that still lives there. So it is all about accepting and embracing our own things and then moving forward with it. It would be really unrealistic to say that I was born this way. No, I wasn't. I have also been in that place. I have found my way through, and I still struggle to get it through. So to everyone who has ever been afraid, you are not alone. Almost 75% of the population goes through this. We often find that it's a defect. Oh my God, it's my weakness. No, it's not. So what it is all about? Why does my stomach tightens, my throat dries, and my hand tremble? So does my leg. What happens? Well, that is a defense mechanism of your body, which is trying to protect you. Because the body can feel threat. Because we're afraid. So it's just a reaction, a very normal defense mechanism of the body, which is trying to protect you. And when that goes into the body, so we feel all of those reactions outside. And that is why I want you to know. Glossophobia, stage fright, fear of public speaking, it's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of your humanness. It's a proof that you hold emotions and you process them through. So what happens then? Do I never speak again? No. You learn it gradually, step by step. And for that, I will share all my strategies. But before it, I would like to mingle a bit more because I love interacting. Workshops or master classes should not be one-sided. That's how I believe communication should be. So I just shared my story, but from you guys, I just want to know the first time you ever spoke in public. Don't narrate it a lot. Maybe it's a presentation, a debate, maybe just sitting in the family or within friends telling, okay, this happened. And if you want, you can also share how it went so that we all can relate and learn from each other. And once again, I have a volunteer that I will choose myself.
I am the volunteer, and I'm going to tell you why I'm volunteering, because finally the live stream is working. So we have our online audience joining us, so welcome to you guys as well. But to answer your question, Maha, basically the first time I think I was properly public speaking was when I was probably 9 or 10 years old, and I ended up being the host of a huge yearly concert for my whole school. And the school was like from first graders to the end basically of school, all 12 years. And I'm basically a baby over there. And of course, I got distracted with the microphone. I was so excited that at some point turns out that I introduced a dance of a couple that is gonna happen in an hour, but I introduced it already. And I went back all smiley, and the teacher runs to me, is like, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, it's okay. I didn't panic. I went back on stage and I fixed it. I went back and I was like, oh my God, this is terrible. They're gonna be so mad at me later. Turns out nothing happened, obviously. But that's how I understood that I can handle pressure better than I thought. But it was a bad experience, and I understood to never look at my mom ever again when I'm public speaking. The second I look at this woman, it all goes to hell for me. So if I could give an advice,
don't look at your mom.
Don't look at your mom.
Oh my God, I hope moms aren't listening. All right, thank you so much. That was really wonderful. If you guys can just briefly tell when was the first time and how it went. I go back to you. All right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it's the mic on. we want our online audience to also feel included. So we're just gonna take it through. Okay, I think, yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thanks a lot for sharing. Yes. All right. Yeah, that's so. That's wonderful. That's wow. We have it all over the world, guys. It's just feel included. Yes, please. Oh, oh. Mm.
But all in all, I guess the thing went pretty okay.
I'm sure you did well because we are often really critical on ourselves as well.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, I would say that the first time was probably, as everybody else has said, like in school,
Oh,
being young, but I don't remember any of them. But I could say that, like, the real proper standing in front of people, slides and everything, was about like 2 years ago, outside of doing like professional with customers and so on. And then I was like, yeah, the 10 minutes before I was going up, I was like, yeah, like 5 minutes into the presentation or 10 minutes into the presentation, I will need to go to the toilet, and I will stand there for 40 minutes like this, talking, because you can't walk away. But no, it went good.
yeah.
Everybody liked it, especially after like 10, 15 minutes in, when I just zoned out from the audience and I just kept talking. Then it went much better.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you so much. Yeah, yeah, please.
I don't remember anything specific, but I do remember one thing is that my parents taught me how to speak very early on. So I would just like on the playground, I would like harass other kids. I would like chime in on their conversations. I would start talking to like their parents and all that. So nothing of like actual public speaking comes to mind, but that's the first thing I remember.
That's confident of you, girl.
I wouldn't say it's confidence, it's just me being annoyed and curious, you know?
Yeah, that's it's still confidence.
I guess like some other, it wasn't a country but an animal. It was a chameleon. Very nice presentation in fourth grade.
Yeah, we all have been good at school.
Actually, me too. I don't remember absolutely my first time when I publicly spoke, but I remember one day, one time it was when I was in 7th year at my school, and I played in a theater, and
Oh.
so it was a kind of not public speaking, but it was a public
Play.
role. I don't know, and it was nice. I remember that I was really excited, and I think I did it
Pretty
pretty
good.
well for a 14-year-old guy. So yeah.
Perfect.
Mine was not very nice. It was a college class, and it was like the end of the semester, so I had a project with a team, and when it was my turn to speak, I stopped speaking. I couldn't say anything, and my friend Mike take the mic and take over for me, and yeah, felt like a disaster.
So I hope I can get a little better.
Yeah, you've come a long way.
I also don't remember very well anything about my first times in school or anything, but maybe the first relevant one was I was a candidate for like student representative in high school, and it was a mess. It was
Camping.
a room full of like 100 students, like 400 students that were just animals screaming and stuff. And the other candidates were literally bribing the other students, like throwing candies and stuff. So at that point, I felt the only way that I could really get what I wanted and make an impact, let's say, was really saying out what I
Speaking up.
was there for. And it worked. So, yeah.
100% recommended, guys.
My first experience was when I was around 13. We all had to get up on stage and do a speech, and it was a complete disaster because I got up on stage, I looked at the audience, lost my voice, and ran off the stage
Feel you.
crying.
Feel you.
So that was the beginning of a long journey.
Yeah, you've been through it.
Oh, I guess it will be very redundant, but it was for me again in school in third grade, and we used to have this morning assemblies there. So it was one time that my science teacher had to arrange it, and she asked me to give a speech on pollution. So I hope it was not noise pollution at that time. But yeah, so I was very good at memorizing back then in third grade. So I just memorized those whole 2 pages which she wrote, and I just went away like a bullet train. And yeah, that's how I did.
Wonderful.
Oh yeah, that was great. I just lost the thread of my thought. I think not the first time, but an interesting occasion was when I was at my mother's 60-year anniversary, or not anniversary, but her birthday party. And I was sitting next to the grand old lady of the family, 90 years old, and there are 100 people in the room, all of them family. And she turns to me and she says, "And of course you're going to give a speech to your mother."
Oh God.
And I'm like, "What?" But it kind of went well, actually. It's probably still my greatest triumph.
Wow. Wonderful. Thank you so much.
So I can't really remember the first time. I think the first time I do remember is in high school. I had to do like not really a book report, but really I had to hold a speech about the author's life, J.R.R. Tolkien. So I talk about his life and his work and things like that, and it went quite well. It was supposed to be a team activity, so I was with a student who had not prepared at all. So I was the only one speaking,
Wow.
and basically speaking for him as well. And that was my first success also, I think. But after that, I really started to enjoy public speaking. I've been a radio host.
Wow.
I've been doing a lot of things like that. So audiences doesn't really terrify me. What terrifies me is getting something wrong that I'm supposed to talk about. Yeah,
Thank you.
that's basically.
That is perfect. Thank you so much, everyone. It was wonderful. I'm sure we all have reflected after a long time, maybe, but we know that the journey started way long ago, and it's still going on. Diverse experiences from different parts of the world, but mostly it is all about the same things. Some sort of fear which limits us, fear of being judged, fear of doing wrong, and oftentimes, if not people, we are the ones who are our biggest critiques. So that is what limits us. I'm going to share some very useful strategies over here, which I have personally used, and I'm going to elaborate on it a bit to make it more relatable. So these are not just word things, it's actually experience. Okay, so the first thing about glossophobia is because it is one of the fears. So what do we have to do with the fear? We have to acknowledge it, number one thing. Recognize that something is not how it should be. I won't say it wrong. Something is not how it should be. Once we acknowledge and recognize, then only we try to dig the reason. What is the root cause? Why am I not able to do it? So it all starts with acknowledgement and then figuring out that what is missing. Reframing your fear is also very important. I have completed my training in neuro-linguistic programming, and we acknowledge that linguistic has a big effect on your subconscious. So how I talk about myself is how my mind perceives me, and that is how I will be acting. So oftentimes we find ourselves in a vicious cycle of saying wrong things about our own self, unfortunately. We often say that I cannot do public speaking. It's just not my thing. I am scared to that. Something like that, which we unconsciously do a lot. And I used to do that too before I did this training. And it taught me that what I am using, the language, it is directly impacting my subconscious mind. That is why your words matter a lot. The kind of words you use with yourself and with others, of course. So try, in fact, don't try, just reframe your fear. It's not a problem, it's not a weakness, it's not something that you cannot do. Rather, all of us over here have done it. We're just trying to get better at it. We're just trying to figure out the root cause and improve it. There can be multiple reasons of the fear. I cannot go into all of them because we're short on time, but I will give you a bit of everything. Number one thing, oftentimes there is a past wound that is being triggered. So when I worked on this skill, I worked very deeply. It was not just becoming a good speaker, it was actually understanding yourself so you can communicate in a better way. So a lot of times something is limiting us. Something that happened past back. Something like I just narrated about my incident. When she took the mic from me, it took me a lot of effort to go back and just hold the mic again. So something is limiting us that we need to address within. Maybe some words from people, because of course if I will address 100 people, not 100 of them would like me. There can be different opinions. So oftentimes there are things that limit us that we need to address because we are not processing it, we are storing it, it's limiting us. If there is any questions in between, you guys feel free to ask. Next, starting with small and safe audiences. Very important. If I'm scared about something or I'm trying to work on it, I should not go and address 100, 200 people together because of course I'm gonna ruin it. Start from safe audiences. That is why I mentioned the word safe spaces. Because to express ourselves genuinely, we definitely want to create a safe space. We want to feel mentally, emotionally, physically, safe. That is when we express our best selves. So find your people, 2, 3, 4 sisters, cousins, friends, whoever. Sit with them, start a conversation. They won't like it in the beginning, but they will get used to it. Find your audience, make your own stage within your safe space, practice from there. I always tell my clients and students that it's not like you will become the perfect speaker and then you'll go address a big audience. It all starts by accumulating those habits in your daily routine. Talking positively about yourself, addressing your fears, speaking to small and safe audiences, and then of course we move ahead. When I used to have glossophobia, I could not go and speak to 100 to 200 people unless I started with small groups. Let me give you another example. I think my friends and cousins are done because I talk to them a lot and I make them sit and tell them, okay, this is something I'm going to talk about. Okay, we have to go through it again. But again, they're my safe place. They will judge me or they'll mock me, but I know at the end of the day, they're my people. So I used to do to them a lot. That is where I started from, and I overcome my basic fear of being judged. Because the first step is the most difficult one. But trust me, once you get in there, when you start enjoying it, nothing's stopping you. Deep breathing techniques, I cannot emphasize it on it enough. I mean, this is the basis of your entire public speaking, which people often forget. Somebody here talked about pace. At times we talk really fast, which happened with me before as well. Because what happens is that we start talking so fast that we run out of energy. Of course, my body's like, stop, Maha, what are you doing? So we speak really fast and then we just run out of energy and then, oh God, what should I do next? So first thing to acknowledge at this point is you are a human. Nurture yourself. Get a good meal, hydrate well, and take care of your mental health. If I'm running short on food or on mental sanity, I won't be able to do really well on a public stage, trust me. I had a good meal today. I said, okay, I'm going to get a good sleep, have a good meal, did my meditation, and then I'm speaking here. So it's not like I woke up, okay, I'm the best TEDx speaker, let's get into it. No. There's a routine that I have to follow. And of course, to build a long-term impact, you have to build some habits consistently. Visualize success before speaking. I'm going to open it a bit further. Like, what am I supposed to do? Dream about me speaking on TEDx? No. So again, visualization was something that I learned during my neurolinguistic programming, but if I just, elaborate it, very precisely or briefly, it's about imagining yourself doing something good that you are focusing on. Manifestation, we are all familiar with that. We manifest good things, we plan on good things, we, of course, take actions according to it. So don't just imagine yourself ruining things. I know it can be really tough, because my fear will bring those memories back again. Okay, Maha, she took the mic away, your voice was trembling, you will do it again. That's what triggers are supposed to do. So how do we manage it? Let the thought come, but don't let it proceed. Cut it down. Reimagine. Okay, it happened, but every day is not the same. Of course, from there, it has been a long journey, and I've learned over the way, so things will not go the same. Try to reframe your imagination as well. If I will imagine myself ruining a speech and I'll sleep imagining that, no preparation can save me, because obviously I'm prepared to ruin it. That's why your thoughts and your reframing matters a lot. Embrace mistakes as learning moments. This is a tough step, I'm going to be honest. We all want to be successful. I don't want to fail 3 attempts and then do a good speech. But it's often necessary, because it's almost near to impossible to ace something at the first attempt. If somebody says so, I don't think they're being realistic. We are meant to fail at times. What we should focus on, improving to the best of our abilities. If we are learning something, I should be able to give at least 95% of it. 5 or 10% I'll leave for human grace. But try to target how we can make it better. And ahead, I will give you a very step-by-step guide on how we can do it. But yes, embracing our mistakes is also important in learning from them. Again, I would bring my own story. When my voice trembled, my voice used to tremble a lot. It used to shiver. I observed and I got to know that it's because of my anxiety. So some sort of anxiety was being triggered. So again, I accumulated those small habits in my daily lifestyle, started taking care of my body, and that eventually improved. If I would have just thought that's just glossophobia, but there has to be a cause to it. So what we need to figure out is where it is all coming from. Supporter coaching, you guys are here, you have already taken the first difficult step to go out and listen to other people and learn. That's often a difficult thing, but yes, there are people out there who will coach, who will train, and who will guide you, and that's very important. I had so many mentors in my own journey, and I still find them. I learned so many things over here as well. So it's a constant journey of learning, and that we should be open to. The floor is open for questions. If there is any question, I really want you all to feel free and ask. Yes, please.
I'm wondering, how often would you recommend for us to practice with small, safe audiences? Well, I guess it kind of depends on what the level of or the amount of public speaking that we'll need to do, I guess. But what would, in general, be your recommended procedure from the start?
Thank you for the question. Okay, so that, again, you just answered it. It depends upon what I am trying to achieve. For example, I'm just, I'm an absolute beginner, then I would definitely find my group and at least talk to them twice a week, and then I go on from there. If I'm already good at something I'm trying to get better, then, twice a month or once a week would be enough. But just, I'm not saying do it very formally. Try to engage more and try to address people as if they are your audiences and they are listening to you. So So that would unconsciously develop the habit of how am I supposed to deliver and if they are understanding and listening to me or not. That's, of course, if you're speaking in a safe space, they will give you feedback, and that can be extremely helpful, you know. So it's all about what you're trying to achieve, but start from, don't overwhelm yourself. Don't say, okay, I'm doing 7 speeches per week, where's my group? Go slow, go gradual. People will run away. Just don't scare them away. Find your safe space and you start gradually and go ahead from there. I hope it helped. Yes, please. I need my hydration.
Just a handful of questions, actually. So on that note, would you recommend something like Toastmasters for practice on a regular basis? And then a follow-up question would be, which breathing technique would be an easy go-to?
Okay. So I think Malmo is full of groups. You are already sitting, in an ambitious leaders workshop. So there are a lot of groups where you can go and engage with people and have such activities. I'm not going to name a group as such because all of them are doing their work. But yeah, if you have some communication, public speaking activities, engage with them. Or like ambitious leader, and you will have a lot of opportunities to keep on engaging. Other question, breathing techniques. I'm going to be honest, I'm not like a yoga master, and I'm not very an expert in that, but the only thing I've learned to do is deep breathing, 4 seconds, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. That's all I've learned, and that has been very helpful if I do it consistently. So regarding deep breathing, because I had anxiety, so I started doing it in the earlier hours when I used to wake up. Even before getting my breakfast or after my breakfast. And even there is no such rule of law, so during the day as well, whenever you have time, whenever you are sitting, scrolling, just keep the phone and give yourself some time. Take some time to relax, and also stay in touch with your own body. Your body will tell you when it needs meditation or food or water. So our body is giving us signals, understand them, and then address them accordingly. But deep breathing, simple deep breathing is going to be more than enough if, integrated in our routine. I hope that's helpful.
Thank you.
Perfect. Any questions? Yes, please.
I know some public speakers who like to do a warm-up ritual before they go on stage, and they do that consistently. Do you think that's helpful?
Yeah, I think I have that ahead in my presentation, but it is helpful. It depends upon what sort of energy you want to take ahead in them. Sometimes it's a really energetic workshop. If I'm doing, for example, I'm hosting hundreds of people together and I'm addressing them. So I need energy. Then I will, do some physical exercise or some warm-up to get that energy. But if, for example, I was speaking with this group, I know it's not like a very big, because if you're speaking to a bigger group, you need more energy, higher tone, and everything goes, it just amplifies. So you need more energy accordingly. But today I worked with meditation. If you need a bigger group, do warm up. That's even better. Thank you for adding that. All right. So is there any other question? Okay. Let's move ahead, I guess. We're moving ahead from glossophobia and getting to the real thing. It's, at the end of the day, how to unleash the power of words. Maybe two people can use the same words but not deliver the same impact. So what is that we are doing different, and how can we make it more impactful? The first thing to understand over here, words hold immense power. They can create, they can destroy, when integrated with the right sort of tools and delivered accordingly. So here I'm going to give you a complete breakdown of how we can make use of our words in the best way. Brace yourself. But again, I have questions. I am really inquisitive. All right, so everything is made up of some elements, some aspects, some constituents. If we talk about communication, because of course communication is the root of public speaking as well, there are also some some constituents that are making it up. I'm gonna make it easier for you guys. There are just 3 that we are talking about. Could anybody make a guess what can be the constituents of observation? That's nice. Okay, intonation, we can call it voice tone, and yeah, wait, you are there. Excellent. You guys just made it easy. Anybody else taking a guess? All right. Okay, so we have voice tone, intonations, posture, and yeah, observing, and of course the words, content. Which constituent holds the most impact? Okay. Content. All right. Any other guesses? Till I reveal it. When I did this workshop and I read this research, I was like, what? We've been doing it wrong all over. And thinking he's right. Ta-da! This is how research proves communication to be divided. The time I spent on writing my content is just 7%. Oh my god. And the voice, oh my god, how am I supposed to change my voice? 35? Body language, here is where everything comes. Posture, as you mentioned, 55%. So it's very important to know that what are the constituents before we actually get them into use. So this is how you are making an impactful, accomplishing impactful communication. And oftentimes people are a little bit skeptical about, oh my god, only 7% of words. How is that possible? So a logical reason to that would be, it is very much dependent upon how you're delivering them. In my words, how you say matters more than what you say. It's making 2000% of impact how I am delivering it. And you guys can observe me. My words, my body language, and my voice tone. If I skip any of these out, the impact would go down to, I don't know where, words down. So yeah, all of these three things need to be integrated for impactful communication. Let's take it further ahead. Okay, we know the constituents. Let's get to the formula, the steps that we call. These are the three proven P's of public speaking: prepare, practice, and perform. Now, I've generally observed in all the students or clients I've prepared or worked with, a lot of them skip either the practice or are not really focused on how to equally divide their attention towards all three. What usually happens is, I'm just going to give an example of my own students when they're going for public speaking. They would take a month to write the content. I will practice it in a day, and I'll just go and do my speech. That's really unfair. The amount of time you're giving to preparation, it has to be either the same or, I believe, double when it comes to practice. Because we all can write. We have enough help now. We all can find the right kind of content. Why are we not practicing it? I've been practicing it for a week to talk to all of you, because every time my content is different, my audience is different. And when it is about preparation and practice, the biggest focus is your target audience. What language do they speak? How diverse? We have to be inclusive. How we're supposed to include all of them. What are the words? What is supposed to be my body language, my voice tone? You have to evaluate it all. For example, it's a public speaking workshop. If I am hosting a party, I would not talk the same way. I would not use the same words, of course. I'm not teaching them in a party. So your preparation has to include a thorough observation, as you mentioned earlier, remember, of the audience that you will be working with, that you will be addressing. Because here, I believe, as a speaker, we have a responsibility. If I'm addressing all of these people, I own the responsibility that my words, I should try that they make their way to your hearts. So that is what I should be focusing. Now comes the practice. Okay, how many of you practice more than you prepare? Oh, wow, you're already on the right path. Wow. We have experienced people over here. Ma'am. Yeah. So can you tell me, why do you used to practice more? Oh, wow. We have a professional here.
Yeah, so I very soon realized I give focus on how I deliver that content. So I practice a lot.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you so much for summarizing it. Absolutely. That is why practicing is very much important, and you have to dedicate time for it. If you have 3 weeks for a presentation, I would say give 60% to practice and then 40% to preparation, because that's the amount of time you need in order to become, impactful or fluent with what you're going to talk about. Then comes performance. Of course, once you are okay with these 2 steps, then only you can. Yes, please.
If practice could maybe influence the preparation, so once we're practicing, maybe we'll come up with something that would be a valuable point that we don't necessarily come across when preparing.
Very insightful. Absolutely. How many times we proofread our drafts and make another draft when we are writing? Final doc 2072. And I still want another one. Because every time I proofread, I figure out something is wrong with this document and I add another thing to it. Why aren't you doing so with your spoken communication? What is wrong? Why are you discriminating it so much? That's the same how it goes. Proofread, evaluate, you'll come up with things oh my God, this was missing. Because you are listening to your own content as a listener. And that's very important. How I practice is I still use the mirror technique. I think it's very helpful. Nobody can critique me better than my own self. So okay, this is how I'm speaking. Okay, this is how I'm supposed to speak. So practice in front of a mirror or within your safe space, but you will definitely have feedback that you can integrate and make it more impactful. Absolutely.
I believe we have another question before we move on.
All right, okay, sorry.
I would just like to expand on it.
Yeah, please.
The reason why I said that I practice more than I prepare is that preparation for me, when I find that I have to practice to prepare, because if I write something down, that's not what I'm going to say, because we don't speak the same way as we write. So it doesn't work. So whenever I do something, I always sort of talk and then write it down after.
Thank you so much. So much to learn from me as well. Thank you for your insights.
Thank you.
I'm sure it would be beneficial for everyone. Okay, so 3 P's of public speaking, a little breakdown, getting to some more useful strategies, because I want to take it in a very linear way. Identified this fear, how to overcome it. Let's talk about how to make it even better. Now we know the basic steps, but let's talk about becoming more impactful. What are those elements, those extra add-ons that we can use to make our content, our delivery resonate more with the audience? Anyone has any idea, any suggestion? What comes into your mind? Yes, please.
Okay, we got humor.
That's wonderful.
Eye contact.
Absolute. Wow, you guys are
Okay.
already.
Anyone else?
Maybe addressing directly the people as saying you or we.
Content, obviously, inclusivity, very important.
Oh.
Relatability, yeah, absolutely. Exactly, and I think that's why I started with the story, because stories are always something that is very real. Thank you so much. Wonderful. Yes. So taking it further down, starting with what you mentioned. Okay, so how many of you, if you would like to raise your hands, still struggle with eye contact? I still do. I'm going to be honest. All right. I think 80% of us do. So regarding eye contact, I'm going to be honest, it's difficult, especially for people who are generally observant. It's like, okay, why am I looking at this person? It's a bit of, uncomfortable feeling at first. But controversially, it's actually the easiest way to gain attention. So if I stand over here and I'm not looking at the audience like this, I'm not engaging with everybody pretty well enough. So that's also very much needed. But if I give you a tip in this context, is that oftentimes it's difficult to look someone in the eye. I understand. I always target their forehead somewhere here, because it's easier to, just talk to them in that way, and it's not visible. and we are also comfortable. So you don't really have to do it as, as a rule of law. You can just find your way through it. But the purpose is to make the listener feel heard. So if I'm going to stand like this, or I'm just going to look to Hristina, so it's going to be, you guys won't feel included. So that's why it's important to just make sure that we are using our eyes and, taking them through the room. If you're in a big room, the easiest way is just to look at every corner or in the center so that everyone feels included. Smile occasionally. That's very important. And I would add your further point as well. Humor. We all want to laugh. Trust me, we have had difficult lives. So humor is something that sinks everybody, and therefore just a little lighter note is more than welcome. Of course, it should not be offensive at all. So we have to be a bit particular about it when we are preparing. In terms of the audience, it's very important. Smile occasion. Smiling it's contagious. We are looking at you. So it's contagious, the energy, positive vibes, it's great. Imagine me not smiling and delivering your presentation. You guys will run away. So I have to make myself look friendlier and more engaging, and you all can do it with a smile. Yes, please.
Yes, what does contagious mean?
Contagious means
It's like a disease, for example. If I
spreads.
sneeze tomorrow, she might get sick.
Oh my God, she's your friend. That's why you're saying it.
Thank you.
Yeah, it spreads like anything through. Okay.
But of course, we're using it in a way prettier context than I used it just now, but still.
Yeah,
No.
that's actually the nicer context. It's contagious. Everyone feels. Yeah, please.
Regarding the eye contact technique, so I don't know if I've really given a honest chance or try to look at someone's, for example, forehead or in between in the eyebrows. I've heard about the tip, but I'm wondering because, as you can see now, whenever I think, and it's been like that for always, my eyes go to another place when I try to find my words or be creative or solve a problem. And not only that they go away, they always flicker from left to right. And I might look crazy in someone's eyes. And I find it difficult because sure I can, if I focus enough, I can really focus my eyes, but I feel like my concentration, I lose concentration or at least creativity. So what kind of tips do you have for that?
Thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, so the first thing, when you're standing over here, trust me, we are not very visible to the audience. They have so much to observe, a presentation, a whole colorful background. So they are extremely not focused on our features, trust me. They're more focused on what we are delivering. At times I understand we are way more conscious about ourselves, and then we try to make it, look as better as possible. But you don't have to, again, it's not a rule of law that you really need to look everyone. If something is making uncomfortable, the walls are there. Just make sure your eyes are going all through, and it's making there, you can always navigate it through. The purpose is to establish eye contact. If you want to do it, just through the room, it's fine. If you can look at people, that's also fine. If you can find a way through the forehead, that's also fine. The purpose is just not to stand and look at one direction, because that's not recommended. Nothing is a rule of law. We can make our way through it, but it's important to understand why we need to do it, so we can find an effective solution for that. I hope that was helpful.
Yeah,
May I add
Thank you.
something?
Yeah,
on,
please,
on this?
definitely.
Basically, I used to have similar problem as you, and the way I worked it out was just, if it's a bigger audience, it works easier, definitely. I would just look around and choose a person that feels kind to me in the moment and that just I like them. It might be because they have pretty eyes, it might be because of the haircut, I don't know. I just choose something, or the color of their clothes, for example. It doesn't matter. But like, when you focus on that and on that person, it's like your safe space in this room of strangers. It might be a friend to you, it might be your partner, it might be anybody. It depends how you feel about it. For me, it's harder when it's a person that I know, but I always try to find somebody that I don't know, but kind of feel connection and feel that person is actually engaging and listening to me. So if you manage to look around and whoever grabs your attention quickly, probably that's your person. And you will feel safer talking to that person. Yeah, of course, now I'm talking to you, of course I'm gonna acknowledge them. But right now you're the person I'm addressing first of all, but also you're a person I feel most safe with. So I'm gonna, keep on keeping a little bit for longer time, you know, and more times in general, my eyes on you. Not because of any other reason, just because in that particular moment you're helping me to cope with the situation and the stress. So maybe that will help as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, please. More than welcome.
I've been doing some technical training through my career, and one thing you should be very careful with is looking at somebody when you are discussing something negative.
Yeah.
So don't do this because people get embarrassed by that. And it's really bad. So when you're doing negative things, talking about giving a negative example, for instance, don't look at somebody. You should just don't sort of put your eyes on one person. Yeah.
Very useful.
Of course, context matters the most, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly. We don't want people to feel. In fact, there is another example that I would like to give, because I've been into teaching for a long time. So when I did my teachers training, through NLP, so it was like, if you're telling you're not good students, or some students are not good, don't point at them. They will feel bad about it. So just point out of the class, or somewhere where, okay, when we are mentioning something that's not really pleasant, just don't point at them. Thank you so much for adding. It's very helpful. Anybody else would like to ask or say? All right. So yeah, that is with eye contact, which is the first thing to start. Next comes another very impactful tool that I had been using. I think I used it today pretty much as well. I love it, and it is really recommended. If you're doing a presentation, I'm sure you cannot be as you cannot make it really entertaining and engaging if you are delivering some sales results. But try to make it sound melodious. Try to make it sound a bit, in a rhyming way, and try to narrate it as if you are telling a story. We all are obsessed with stories since the earlier ages. We want to know what is happening next. We are curious. That is the easiest way to grab the attention. So if you use this tool in the beginning it's way more recommended. In the beginning of your presentation, speech, public speaking training, whatever, if you utilize it in the beginning, first, of course, it's going to build a connection. It is a source of, it's vulnerability for everybody. If I'm telling my story, I can easily connect with people, because deep down we are all humans seeking human connection. So try to address them at a human level. Connect with them at a human level. Triggers empathy. That's also really important. Again, emotions' biggest clue, when used positively only. Grabs attention, of course. You all were curious to know who is the girl that I was narrating the story about. So that is, again, grabs attention, keeps you hooked. You want to know what happens next. Conveys a message. Therefore, there is a message like it was about claustrophobia, that you can overcome it. And of course, we all love to know suspense. So if you integrate this tool in your training, in your speaking, talking about your friend at their wedding, telling a story, how you lived your journey, it's very, it resonates with people, and they really want to listen to you. So this has been extremely helpful, and I think I love telling stories, and we all have stories to tell. Any questions or anything you guys want to add? Okay. Hristina, I have a question. Do you remember, because you have been to events, any story that you remember from anyone?
Ooh, a bunch. Stories from different events. One that sticks out to me probably the most is one not that related to public speaking, but about networking. I was attending this event in Romania. It was forum for young people who are basically learning international relations and global politics or diplomacy, anything on that sort. This is what I am majoring in even now in my master's. So I went there. And the first evening we were having this lovely event, a diplomatic event where they invited a bunch of ambassadors. Well, all good until the moment when one person just goes to an ambassador and doesn't know what to say, and out of nowhere he wants to compliment his tie and says, "Oh, Your Royal Highness, your tie is absolutely gorgeous." And in that moment, everybody just like freezes, because we're like, Your Royal Highness. Like, you do not call your Royal Highness an ambassador, you know? There are basic things that if you are going to a certain event, if you're going to be doing something, you have to know. You have to prepare yourself on that small things because they would make the difference. And for me, it was funny, but at the same time we were kind of frightened how this slightly older ambassador gentleman who was quite biting us the whole night because we were young and experienced, will take this. And the guy just bursted out laughing, and he was like, I wish I was a Royal Highness, honey, I'm not. And we just moved on from there. But like, the thing what I wanted to share is be prepared in that kind of situations and know where you're headed to. Like, try to understand the location, the people you're going to meet, how do you address, like the basics. Of course, you never know. But try to, you know, engage yourself before you're even in the room. So you can, when you step in that room, you can own it.
Thank you so much. You're owning it. Yeah. So absolutely. And there are stories that stay with us throughout our lives. We all know that. We all know many, maybe. So storytelling is definitely a helpful tool. Okay, let's come to my favorite point. Body language. We all know how impactful it is, but at times we are really unsure of how am I supposed to make it more impactful. Again, I did a bit of experiments, research, so I'm going to tell you in a very relatable manner that how we are supposed to accomplish, because you guys can find information on the internet about how you can accomplish or implement it that matters. Standing tall and grounded. Okay, so regarding body language, the first thing we should know is that our posture, general posture and energy is delivered to the people. Like if I'm speaking right now, you're just not hearing my voice, definitely my vibes, and how am I doing it. So that's why we have to be really conscious about how we're supposed to be, but not as overconscious that we kind of, we are overly sensitive about it. Just know that you are speaking to a bunch of people who you want to become your audience, and you want them to listen to you. So imagine yourself as an audience, how you would want to be addressed. Definitely you don't want any speaker who's standing in the corner of the room and just standing there and talking to you like, okay, I know some teachers.
I am not taking this as a personal attack.
Oh my gosh. You've been moving everywhere. I cannot even do that.
I'm joking.
All right, so yeah. If you're not expressive enough through your postures, your body language, your hand gestures, your message won't be that impactful. You might be prepared well, but your body language isn't syncing with what you're trying to say. Imagine me talking about public speaking and standing like this. Biggest lie. So until I am showing you guys or expressing myself that how am I supposed to get it done, that is also keeping you guys engaged, and that is also delivering the message more effectively. Because at the end of the day, we have two purposes: engage and deliver in an effective manner. Whether it's presentation, speech, anything you talk about when you are in the public, express it with your postures. And I also learned to do it again with small bunch of people as well. It's not like I'm only expressive with my body language when I'm in public. So I generally try to, practice or integrate it in my daily interactions as well. Standing tall and grounded, purposeful hand gestures. Because I've been a facilitator and trainer for communication skills, soft skills. This has been really helpful, your hand gestures. You might be delivering trainings, and you want your audience to be engaged, and they might belong from different, industries. Sometimes they're students, sometimes they're clients. Your energy really needs to be contagious enough, and it should be reflecting through your postures. And again, you have to find your own specific way, but hand gestures are often very helpful. I don't know, I was always like that, so I've taken it from my childhood. But until I talk like this, it doesn't look like I'm delivering the message. I really need to use my hands. Was someone saying something? All right. Face expression. Oh, I have so many examples of people who really wanted to deliver an effective message, but their expressions were not sinking enough. I stand like this. I'm just tired, and I'm trying to tell you to be energetic. I mean, the message won't even go that way. So your expressions, you should feel what you're talking about, basically. I'm talking about public speaking, it should come on my face, the passion, the energy should be visible. What I try to do often is I try to deliver words very expressively, emphasis and using my facial features so that I'm more expressive. I don't have a very loud tone, so I try to use my facial expressions to be more expressive and, fluent. Move intentionally. Very, very important. Again, I think I've learned it through teaching, because I always used to hear that teachers who stand in a corner are not able to engage students. So I did lots of my training with my students. They used to give me feedback. Moving intentionally is very important. Of course, right here I don't have a lot of space, but I try to use one corner and then go to other corner or just go over there. I can't just rotate. That's not going to look pleasant. But
oopsie.
But again, making use of the space, it's very important. Don't just stand on one place. If you even just have, at rostrum, if you're standing, if you're delivering a speech with this standee or rostrum, you of course cannot move. So in that case, your hands will do the talking. So just try to utilize your hand to do the work. You can't move. Pauses. Oh. I think this has to be the game changer in my case, which I slowly, gradually experienced and utilized. I'm talking about a lot of things, but I'm taking pauses. Because if I don't, I'll overwhelm you all and myself. And I would need even more water than I'm needing right now. So, take a break. Take it slowly. Pauses are extremely helpful. The first thing they would help me is that they don't tire me or overwhelm me a lot. We are really excited at times or overwhelmed that we want to deliver every single thing in a single way. But that's not recommended or effective. You have to learn to speak with pauses and purposeful and natural ones. For example, if I'm talking about a series of things, I'm mentioning a listicle, I'll say, okay, first one, this. Then comes this. After mentioning, I emphasize, I pause. If I go like, okay, you have to stand tall and grounded, your hand gesture, that's going to be a big no. So intentionally pausing and allowing your body to settle is very important. While you are absorbing information, my body is also taking its time to slow down and, of course, regain the energy to start again. Intentionally pause in your daily conversations as well. It's very much recommended. Of course, unless you're with your friends and hanging out, that's something else. But when you are having, because I also work with personal and professional communication, so even, just having one-on-one conversation, it's very important to take pauses so that your message can reach them out effectively. Give you time to absorb. Mirror your message. Again, I think I mentioned it earlier, but just to further reinforce it, body language should align with what you're saying. Is anyone here, have you guys been to any, stand-up comedies? Anyone here? Okay. How is the body language of the comedy speaker? Anyone who's doing a comic?
Who would like the mic? Right.
Depends on who, of course, but mostly vibrant, expressive.
Absolutely. We all have heard political leaders' speech.
Yes.
How is their energy? Authoritative, right? Not like a party, but something as if it's coming from a place of power and authority. Similarly, when I am addressing a group of people, like here, it's a training session, my energy would vary as if I'm talking to 200 people and, just hosting an event. That would be maybe more formal, less engaging because there are a lot of people. But here, it would vary according to the occasion, the audience, and the content that I'm working with right now. And make sure it syncs. Imagine me doing a comedy with this sort of energy. It won't really work out. I have to make it look vibrant with attire and expressions and everything. So be specific, observe. I think she mentioned earlier about observation. So it's very important to look at people and learn from them, different sort of speakers. We have people who speak, formal events, we have MCs, we have people who talk at ceremonies, good and bad. All of them have a different sort of body language and gesture and posture, but it always syncs with what they're trying to say, and then only they are considered impactful. Or else politicians might also be comedians. All right. So any questions till now, because it was too much information, I believe.
It has to be short though, because we're running out of
Oh,
time.
I'm sorry.
I'm
I'm
sorry
just-
to mention that, but
Oh God. Yes, please.
go for it.
After this, we won't have queries.
So I have a question about how do you plan when to take a pause?
Okay. Regarding pauses, firstly, as I told you, I observe the content that I'm working with, and then I practice that where am I supposed to pause. For example, if I am talking about every single listicle over here, then I'll take my time to pause and deliver the next word. Emphasis, like if we talk about any language, in English in this case, so it has emphasis on certain words when you're using consonants and something like that. So take it in that way. If somebody would speak this line to me, at which sentence would they pause? Maybe they have, sometimes you have punctuation, so we pause at every single comma, and then at full stop we take a break, and then we resume. So similarly, for every single sentence when you're talking to a person, try to deliver them as if you are listening. So try to deliver it purposefully. What I do usually is that sentences, whenever I mention an important word, I pause, like purposeful hand gestures. I pause over here. When I want them to emphasize on something, I pause. When I'm talking about something generally, like this line I just mentioned, I did not pause. I paused at the end. So it depends upon the word that you're trying to focus. But again, try to integrate it in your usual conversations. When you observe that people are listening to you, it's helpful. All right.
Another example could be very basic. For example, if we take those sentences, she did that. If I say she did that, or she did that, or she did that, all those three sentences, depending on where you basically, which word you want to emphasize on, and it changes the whole meaning. So I believe it's similar in when you're having even daily conversations. Depends on how you want to deliver the message and what exactly is your main point in it. And from there on, you choose where to make a pause or not.
I hope it was helpful. Okay, since we are short on time, I think we are just at the end as well. All right, so not a very new but also a very important form of public speaking is now the online or virtual speaking. How many of you work remotely or have worked remotely? Okay, it's like I work remotely all the time, so we are working remotely and we still want to engage with the audience, and that is a big challenge. When I started my public speaking journey, my first training session was online thanks to COVID-19 because that was the year. And I think that was a big blessing in disguise because we discovered all about virtual training sessions, how we can make use of that space and tools developed. And now we have a whole stage to own sitting at our own homes. So yeah, how we can make use of this impactfully, I'm going to talk a bit about it because we have our online audience as well. And I'm sure they would be interested to know this too. Okay, before I get to the do and don'ts, to be honest, online public speaking has its challenges. If I'm sitting with 60 people, 50, 20 here, it's definitely way more easier to observe their expressions and modify if I have to keep it short, long, talk more about it, ask them questions. On online, we know things change. Some of them are not listening, some of them have their cameras off and are listening. So how am I supposed to make it impactful? Just know that in online speaking you have way more chance of human grace because of the limitations of interaction. But on the similar note, you have way more responsibility on your end to accomplish because I still think it's way more energy consuming to deliver an online presentation than it is on site, because there is a lot of work. What sort of work is required? Firstly, engaging the audience is of course a challenge. I think tools have been extremely helpful. We have tools now, activities that we can do with people online. I'm asking you questions here like one-on-one. Online I can give them polls, I can I send something in the chat, there are quizzes, just so they can be engaged in the conversation. First, rule of law, you make use of tools. You have AI, you have a whole bunch of tools to integrate. Don't consider it mainstream public speaking. It's a very different ground. So just make use of it in the similar way. Let's talk a bit about do's and don'ts. Your workspace matters a lot. I mean, I can't emphasize enough. I used to, because I've been working and training online for so long, I have a workspace in my home separately for a presentation and if I'm doing a meeting, and I know that requires some work. So I'm sure if you guys are working online, you have some workspace as well. You need a clear background, a place where internet works fine, there is no noise. So the basics are the same, except for when you're doing any other work, you don't require that much of attention as much as you do when you're delivering something. So you have to be way more particular about the place you are sitting in, about your background, about your voice quality, and the technical things that we can handle, because at times we can't handle some of them. Looking into the camera. The thing is easier for you because you don't have to look at people's faces there. You just have one single face, our little tiny camera that we have to look at. So figure out where your camera is. Again, you don't have to exactly look over there, because when I speak virtually, I like to look at my audience and my camera is just above. So that's fine. Just look over there, that it appears that you're addressing them. Clearly and at a moderate pace. Pace is way more important in virtual settings because, technicalities, just, technical delays. If I'm speaking too fast, too slow, they won't be listening to it the same way. So I have to accommodate them, understand, and work accordingly. Expression with your face and voice. Oh, this is very important. When I do a virtual presentation, of course, only this part of me is visible. I'm using 70% hands. There I use, I think, 85% because I don't have any other way to engage them. Okay, you answer. Okay, you tell. Okay, this. That's all my stage is about. Of course, you don't have to be excessive. Don't break things. But use your hands. If you're going to sit like this in a virtual, you cannot do anything impactful. You have to show your energy at times. It can be difficult, I understand, but consider it your own stage and just make use of your postures. Engage with audience. I think I mentioned it. Hand gestures. All right, let's talk about some of the don'ts. At times people think that if they are addressing virtually, their voice doesn't matter, but it always comes down to your words. You might have the prettiest aesthetic presentation, but if you're not using your voice well to explain and regarding presentation, of course we have different things, but if you're not being expressive, elaborative enough, no tool can help you over there. You have to use your own voice as well. AI can't do the speaking yet, remember. It's still your responsibility, thank God. Don't slouch or look disinterested. Oh, how many of us have been into meetings where we have seen people sitting over, sleeping? I remember during COVID when online speaking got just, the hype. We got so many memes, the videos, people sleeping during meetings and interviews, kids running, disaster. But if you're working remotely, you have to keep, a hold of this. You have to be conscious about your posture. Your position also matters, how much of you are visible. Sometimes I remember working with people, they're showing me the rooftop and I'm like, please lower your camera so I can see your face. So you have to spend a bit more time on the technicalities, I believe, rather than you'll be spending on just wear anything because only this part is visible. So it's like you just have to worry about handling it well. Don't forget to smile. Okay, so even on site, it's so difficult to engage with people who look disinterested. So imagine how difficult it is to engage with people who look disinterested, that too in a virtual setting. That's like even worse. I mean, I remember I used to have lectures during those days when everything went online. I was like, how am I supposed to understand this mathematical equation with this expression and this kind of content? So try to make it more effective with your expressions. Be friendly. It's difficult, fake it, but just be friendly so that people can, resonate with you, can understand where you're coming from. How much time we have?
I've also heard of a technique that that is quite important for the speaker to make eye contact, but to like look at the camera. And I find that tricky, but I don't know if you have any advice or if that's a good technique to like try to stick to, and if you have any recommendations on how.
Where is your camera? Do you use a laptop? Like it's not
on a
the top?
laptop? Yeah.
So you must be looking at your eye level, right?
Yeah, I guess.
And your laptop is at your eye level.
Yeah.
If sometimes what happens is our laptop is either really down or really upwards. So in that case, we are not interacting on our eye level. So I have so many cushions on my chair and on my table. So unless the eye level is established, you don't have to worry about the camera. Just keep your laptop on an eye level, and everybody will assume you're looking on them. That's the good part of virtual speaking.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Just a second.
I actually tape a picture of somebody on the lid of my laptop, and I look at that picture.
Wow, that's so.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I also
What
have a
if
bit
the
of
picture felt?
I also have some tips on that, because what I do when it's online, I might have a small window with the notes just next to the camera, basically. Like if the camera is here, the note maybe will be just here. So if I have to read notes, it's just there. And I kind of use more or less the same thing when in person meeting. So maybe if my main speaker, the teacher, for instance, at university, is gonna be sitting there, I'll put my computer here, so I can both, like take notes and look at her all at the same time.
Another thing that I tend to do is, especially when I don't know the audience, and this freaks me out a little bit, or if I'm talking to people who might intimidate me in one way or another, I try to move wherever my camera is showing me closer to where the camera is recording. So worst case scenario, I'm looking at me. Like there's positive and bad sides of it, depends how you look at yourself that day, but still it kind of takes the pressure a little bit lower. That at least works for me. But it not always works, because not always you're allowed to move around these kind of things. But try it out, it might help somebody.
Perfect. Thank you so much for the insight. So we have a lot of experiences to share, and unfortunately or fortunately, we're just getting towards the end. I would open the floor to questions, and then we would have it. If there's any questions throughout the session, you're more than welcome to ask. Yes, please.
I have a question about preparation. Another part of public speaking is when, for example, you're speaking with a panel.
Yeah.
And most of the time with panel speaking or panel engagement, you don't really know exactly what you have to say. You are not like using a presentation. You're just in a panel, and when a question is posed, you have to answer on the question, and it goes around everyone else on the panel. So in that kind of setting, how do you prepare, especially when you don't exactly know what you need to say? It depends on the question that comes to you. So I'm just wondering, how does one prepare for something like that, and how do you get successful at public speaking when you're speaking in a panel?
That's a great question.
Yeah. Okay, so definitely if you're sitting in a panel, there must be a subject of discussion, like generally, or there must be some, agenda. So one of my mentors told me that you cannot ever speak well if your knowledge is lacking somewhere. So that's often a point. I know we cannot learn everything by heart, but again, the subject, we should be enough familiar with that we have explored the topics that can be related to it. So at least we can express our opinion that, of the kind of knowledge that we already have. There will be some things that we do not know, and that in case, this is just an exception that we cannot talk. Another thing is that often we are really a bit more critical about the information we have, so we are just really afraid of expressing it. So again, it comes down to trusting yourself with your words and expressing them. And whenever you speak with confidence, even if the kind of information you are dealing with, people would listen to. It's not like a right or wrong situation, but your opinion would be heard. So yeah, I hope that helps.
I try to think of it like this. When you were sitting in an airplane and the people are giving you the safety demonstration, right? You've heard it 100 times, right? So you're not really paying attention, right? But there's somebody who is making their very first flight that day. And that's the person they're really telling the safety demonstration to. And that's how you need to think about your message. If you're talking to an audience of 500, there's somebody going to think that your presentation is the most important one that day. And that's the one you're really telling the stories to. If somebody's not interested, there's nothing you can do about that.
Yeah, that's very good advice. Thank you. Very
Well
insightful.
said.
Anybody else has any question throughout the session? Yes, please.
Yes, so I've gone to some classes where we learn how to speak, and we go through the similar or if not the same steps and techniques that we need to learn to speak. It's kind of a universal type of science behind speaking. But then I also spoke recently to a man who, he's a coach and also a speaker as well, but his whole thing is be yourself. This is whole mantra, which is also true. So I'm trying to think about the spectrum of being very technical and practicing and then achieving skills. And from the other side is just don't care about the techniques. Be yourself as much as you can be, and the technique will come. I'm kind of looking towards the middle part, because when I need to speak, it's a personal experience. It's not a technical experience. It's a technical process, but it's a personal experience. And I need to find out more about how you introduce the personal experience with the technique, how you combine it.
Yeah.
So I also want to know, you told your story, but maybe more specific, what was your biggest obstacles or yeah.
Thank you for the question. Okay, so I'm going to be honest, whether I'm training about public speaking, communication, I always try to connect with people on a personal level, because often we know all these fancy wordy strategies, but we're just a human, so how are we supposed to utilize it in a very human way? When I was going through glossophobia and I sat down with myself and I reflected, it was basically triggered because of my anxiety. So, there were some past wounds that were triggering my anxiety, and I was becoming very super critical about myself. Maybe because people did not trust me earlier and their comments kept on getting back at me, and somewhat I started viewing myself through their lens. So there is where I had to reframe my thoughts, that people will view me with different lenses, but I should view myself with my own lens. And their opinions or comments do not define me. So my entire journey of public speaking communication, it still goes on, and I hope it does till I die. It is all about discovering your own voice and trying to embrace yourself, firstly, as you mentioned. All of these strategies, that's why I addressed glossophobia in the beginning, because unless you sit with yourself, you get to know yourself, you're comfortable with being what you are, you address those past wounds, you're able to become your genuine self. Then of course, you can prepare, practice, perform, and ace everything. Communication is mostly limited because of the triggers that come from our past. And every time I sit down with the client, trust me, 90% of the time there is something that's triggering them. And then they learn to recognize it and work with it. And then they utilize the strategies, they have results. So embrace yourself, stop viewing yourself from other people's lenses. You're important, your voice matters, and that's what we should do.
There's a saying that I always say, if you're on that table, you deserve the seat.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind.
We all deserve it.
maybe some advice too. But for me, learning these tools and naturalizing them, having fun with them. So I learned these kinds of tools just being exaggerating, playing with them, doing outrageous things, and doing that and becoming so, I could become myself also on stage, because you find out what about these tools suits you the most. So really immerse yourself in the tools, have a try, have a bit of fun, and then you will also become yourself. And also what she said, you know, once you work with your fear, you let go of your fear. That will also help. But for me, it really helped just having a bit of fun with the tools.
It's very important. Thank you so much. Very insightful. Thank you. Did you have to think of it? Yes, please.
No.
This makes me think of a metaphor. Imagine you're sitting in a glass box, and we're watching the glass box. The tools are like things cleaning the box. It's like initially the box is just completely dirty and you can't see inside, so you can't see you. But then when you learn the tools, it's like you open the windows or you clean the window panes so you can see yourself inside. So I think it's not like they're not on a scale, they're completely different things.
Thank you so much. That was really deep, and I understood why you said that you know, reflect deeply on things in the beginning. I understood your story. Anybody else has any reflections, any questions? Please feel free to express. Anything you found useful? Yes, please. Yeah, I'm making Hristina walk a lot.
Would this also be
It's okay.
a valuable lesson to keep in mind in interviews? Yeah, because I've been applying endlessly to different jobs, and I checked. I haven't been successful yet, but I asked ChatGPT like what they recommend that I do, and they said that, well, given that you've really put in an effort in the basic application process, we recommend that you attend like work seminars or whatever they're called, and make connections through that. So I'm wondering if that could also be a focus.
You're at the right place.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Good.
Indeed.
Thank you so much, and definitely that's helpful. Anybody else would like to share their reflections? Anything that was useful? Anything they have to say? Any comment? All right. So if I ask you guys to just, I'm engaging them again. One word, if you can describe what we discussed today.
Let's hear just a few. We won't have the time to go through all of you, but
Yeah, just yeah. One word or line, it's on you. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Lovely.
I had the word insightful in my head. But
It's all right. We were to exit.
Yeah, I'm real bad with synonyms, but so just say insightful again.
Yeah.
I would say maybe motivating. I think that was one of the goals also, to push us to try something else and to go out there.
exactly. I'm glad you reached this conclusion as well.
Yeah, I would say like it was first of all it was interesting, of course, and secondly it was really helpful to think to start thinking about the good basis to start public speaking with confidence and so on.
I'm glad.
Anyone else wants to add something?
Anything, one word, something. What you think about it? Here?
I think decrypting.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
a
I
good
love
word.
your choice of words.
Nice.
You've definitely been into communication for
That's
very
quite the
long.
word.
Reassuring.
Okay. You did have
Would
the
you like
mic
to say
and use
something?
it.
All
Okay.
right.
There we go.
Very interesting how you managed to condense what is a very complex topic
Thank
into
you so
such
much.
a short time frame.
Thank you.
So that's what brought me here too, because I said all of this in 2 hours. I'm very curious.
To hear it from you as a professional is really
It means a lot.
uplifting. Yeah, thank you so much. All right, so I think we're getting at the end. I want Hristina to take her time too. So just on the end, the last thing, owning our story and loving ourselves through that process is the bravest thing that we'll ever do. Kudos to you all. You have already taken the first step, stepped out of your comfort zones on a Saturday evening when it's literally the best weather in Malmo, a lot of events, and took out time to spend here, learn about yourselves, explore the skills. So that's the first step you have taken. We all start from somewhere, and you all will definitely reach gradually, slowly, by getting to know yourselves better. Thank you so much for being here. Tack så mycket.
And just for a quick second, I would like to also show you guys my LinkedIn and Maha's LinkedIn if you would like to connect with us, if you have any questions or whatever you would like to speak with us one way or another, you would like to invite us for a coffee, we're always down for that. So those are our LinkedIns. Please feel free to reach out. And further on, please take a couple of minutes of your time. It takes, I think, 3 minutes to do this feedback form, which would mean a lot to me and to Maha. Just because of our online audience, I will repeat briefly. The Ambitious Leader is a platform where we want to expand on public speaking, diplomatic etiquette and protocol, just networking, connecting a community where we would engage with each other here locally in Malmo, but also around the world. So if you would like to be part of it, please reach out to us and we will make it happen. There is very soon another event planned. I'm not going to give you much information right now. I'm going to keep it to myself.
Suspense.
Because I need you to follow me on Instagram. That's how you win followers, guys. I need you to follow me on Instagram in order to understand how it works. And, well, guys, over there you have also my business cards, a little bit of flyers, so you can scan later on if you didn't do it, our LinkedIn and our Instagram pages. So thank you so much for being here. It means a lot to me to see so many familiar and not so familiar faces that I hope to see again in the future. The only thing I might mention, the next event is about networking, and it will have nothing to do with teaching. It will not be in such a setting. It will be something like, I don't know, maybe a cocktail in hand. We will see about it. So I hope to see you all there. Thank you again for spending your Saturday with us. And I hope to see you again soon on all the Ambitious Leaders events. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you also, guys, online.
And have some fika if you haven't.
Yeah, if anybody would like anything to drink, to have a bite, please feel free. Accommodate yourselves. Feel at home.